While everyone was wondering who the winner of the race would be, the real winner was Kieran Culkin. But more talked about than the victory was what happened to him in the race. So, what happened to shake up this charity event? Kieran Culkin had attended countless celebrity fundraisers, fancy galas, black-tie dinners, glitzy telethons, but this time he wanted a different kind of charity event. No red carpet, no stuffy seating arrangement, just an open-air bicycle race where he could truly connect with people. The Pedal with Purpose race, held each spring in the bustling heart of Minneapolis, promised exactly that: hundreds of cyclists a scenic route, and all proceeds going to local children's hospitals. He figured he'd slip in quietly, share a moment of camaraderie, and pedal in support of a good cause. Little did he know that a light-hearted mishap would overshadow nearly everything else that day. The event took place along the Mississippi River's winding bike paths, with tents and banners lining a large park near the riverbank. Early morning sunshine cast a cheerful glow over the participants, everyone from serious cyclists in full spandex gear to families with kids on small bikes. Kieran arrived wearing a simple hoodie and workout shorts, unassuming compared to his usual red carpet looks. A modest sign in front read, "Pedal with Purpose, Ride for Kids' Health." He liked that the focus was on the children's hospital fundraiser rather than star appearances. Even so, a few quick-eyed fans recognized him, whispering, "Is that Kieran Culkin from Succession?" He checked in at the registration tent. The volunteer recognized him, eyes widening slightly, but kept it discreet. Kieran greeted them politely, paying the race fee plus a bit extra as a donation. In return, he got a race bib with a number and a big smile from the volunteer, who mumbled, "Thanks for supporting us." He nodded back, scanning the festival-like setup. Food trucks, local sponsors, live music on a small stage. Families milled about, kids proudly clutching sponsor badges, while athletic types fiddled with their specialized bikes, warming up with quick loops in the parking area. At first, everything ran smoothly. Kieran put on a simple helmet, hopped on his borrowed road bike, and tested the gears with a few easy circles. A little breeze rustled the tall trees around the park, carrying the smell of coffee from a nearby vendor. A short speech from the event's main organizer, encouraging everyone to ride safely and remember the cause, echoed from the main stage. Then, a loud whistle signaled the start of the race for the advanced group, followed by subsequent waves for intermediate, then casual riders. Kieran, opting to ride with the intermediate pack, rolled into position among a colorful cluster of cyclists. Some recognized him and offered quick greetings. He laughed and shrugged. "Don't laugh if I'm dead last, okay?" The starter counted down, and with an enthusiastic go, the group launched forward, wheels spinning over fresh asphalt. For the first half-mile, Kieran relished the novelty: fresh air, sun on his face, the hum of bikes. He maintained a decent pace, occasionally chatting with a fellow rider about the charities benefiting from the event. The route curved along the river, showcasing scenic views of the rippling water. Children and families on the sidelines cheered, clapping for every cyclist passing by. Kieran's heart warmed at the supportive atmosphere, overshadowing the typical tension he felt at more formal charity events. Yet around mile 3, the comedy of errors began. A fellow rider wearing bright neon cycling gear, clearly a more experienced athlete, whizzed by just a bit too close. Kieran swerved to avoid a collision. In doing so, he hit a patch of uneven pavement. He didn't crash, but his chain hopped off the gears with a harsh rattle. Surprised, he nearly lost his balance, veering briefly onto the grass. A few riders behind him had to slow abruptly, prompting minor confusion. "Sorry," Kieran called out, pulling off to the side to fix the chain. Spectators by the fence noticed, snapping photos and exclaiming, "Is that the guy from Home Alone sold or wait, that's Kieran Culkin?" Meanwhile, he fumbled with the chain. Grease smeared his hands, and his helmet tilted awkwardly. Determined not to let a mere chain derail him, he quietly cursed under his breath while hooking it back on. A well-meaning volunteer approached, offering help. Kieran politely declined, wanting to fix it on his own. But the chain was stubborn. It took a good couple of minutes and more greasy smudges on his hoodie before it finally settled. By then, most of his wave had vanished down the path. He tried to recapture some momentum, pedaling hard to catch up, except the sudden burst of speed near a bend proved ill-timed. Rounding the corner, he nearly collided with a small group of casual cyclists, a family including 2 teenage girls. They squealed, swerving away. Kieran braked, apologizing profusely. One teenage girl recognized him mid-squeal, exclaiming, "Oh my God, you're—" Yet the shock overshadowed any starstruck reaction. Kieran gave a short wave, embarrassed, then pressed on, vowing to be more careful. The comedic meltdown overshadowed his philanthropic intentions more with each mishap. As he advanced, more cameras pointed his way, amateur phone videos capturing him puffing, chain grease smeared on his cheek, or awkwardly steering around slower riders. Some posted those clips with Kieran struggling but still going strong. #pedal with purpose. Others, though, found humor in it. He's riding like Roman Roy runs a boardroom, chaotic. Mile after mile, he pushed on. The route took him over a scenic bridge. He paused briefly to admire the sparkling water and gulp down a sports drink. A man recognized him, snapping a quick photo, which Kieran politely obliged, though beads of sweat dotted his forehead. A local journalist, also riding in the event, pedaled up to him with a small camera. "Kieran, how's the ride so far?" she asked. He forced a grin, breathless. "Great cause. Let's just say I'm not Tour de France material, but I'm doing my best." That short interview later popped up online with the headline, "Kieran Culkin. It's for a great cause, I'll survive." The final miles wound through a gently sloping path, dotted with cheering volunteers who rang cowbells as each participant passed. Kieran, though fatigued and slightly humiliated by the chain fiasco, felt a wave of renewed spirit. This was bigger than his personal performance. The kids who'd benefit from the donations gave him reason to keep pedaling. He gave a half-laugh, half-groan as he recognized the feeling. No matter how small or comedic the meltdown, the goal was raising funds for something truly important. Approaching the finish line, he saw a modest crowd. The festival's main stage was in view, and an announcer called out riders' names. Cheers erupted for each finisher, from the speed demons to the slow and steady. When Kieran finally crossed the line, breathing heavily, the announcer recognized him and declared, "And we have Kieran Culkin completing the race. Thank you for joining Pedal with Purpose." Applause scattered through the crowd, overshadowed somewhat by the real sporting achievements of more seasoned cyclists, but still warm enough to make him grin. He coasted to a stop, leaning over his handlebars. The event staff offered him a medal, small wooden, more symbolic than prestigious. He took it with gratitude. Some children rushed over, giggling as they pointed at the grease marks on his face. "You got a little something right there," one boy teased. Kieran ruffled the kid's hair, flipping his phone camera to see the smear, and letting out a hearty laugh at his own disheveled reflection. Another staffer approached with a donation certificate, explaining that Kieran's presence and social media mention alone had boosted contributions that day. He seemed genuinely touched. "That's what it's all about," he murmured, patting the official on the shoulder. Of course, local press had a field day with the comedic meltdown. Next day, headlines range from the supportive. Kieran Culkin bikes for charity, chain fiasco overshadowed bigger cause, to the comedic, Culkin's chain fiasco, good deed, rough ride. Some tabloids tried to spin it as Kieran Culkin meltdown at philanthropic race, but the real story was far less dramatic, just a star navigating a tough bike course with a few clumsy moments, overshadowing an otherwise smooth philanthropic day. Fans on Twitter joked about #Chaingate, featuring memes of Kieran wrestling with a bike chain or nearly mowing down a group of teens. He even liked a few of the funnier tweets, indicating he wasn't too bothered by the teasing. At the festival's after-party, a small event in a local community center, Kieran showed up freshly showered, wearing comfortable clothes, greeting the staff and volunteers. They thanked him for his attendance, and he returned the sentiment, praising their organization. He gave a short, humble thank you speech. "You guys do the real work every day. I just pedal and try not to crash." The crowd laughed, acknowledging the day's comedic stumbles. Yet the overshadowing meltdown had a silver lining. Coverage of the race soared, inspiring more donations. Families turned out the next day, spurred by the unexpected star cameo. Even some who recognized him from comedic meltdown videos said, "If Kieran can do it, so can we." One local organizer approached him with watery eyes, explaining that their children's hospital wing would get a critical upgrade, thanks in part to the surge of interest and funds. Kieran, deeply moved, insisted it was everyone's collective effort. Yet he knew that the flurry of social media talk, while poking fun at his struggles, had also indirectly helped. A comedic meltdown overshadowing normal philanthropic routine had ironically boosted the cause he cared about. In the following weeks, Kieran recounted the day's events in a few interviews, always sprinkling them with a self-deprecating chuckle. "I realized pretty fast I'm not Lance Armstrong," he joked on a late-night show. "But hey, I got to the finish line. That's what matters, right?" The host teased him about almost taking out a group of teenagers, to which Kieran playfully retorted, "They outran me anyway, so no harm done." In the end, the Pedal with Purpose race soared in popularity for subsequent years, with rumor that Kieran might return, though perhaps better prepared. The meltdown overshadowed a typical philanthropic day, but it also gave it a comedic spark, turning a routine charity event into a memorable story. Locals who were there recalled how a Hollywood star tried to do good, struggled with a chain fiasco, and in doing so, made the day more colorful, more human. Kieran, for his part, left with grease-stained memories and a deeper conviction that even a chaotic moment can lead to genuine impact, overshadowing cynicism with a spirit of community.